Yeah. And then I forget what the snow totals, like the snow totals are supposed to be. I think it's like anywhere from 5 inches to 57 inches. I can't remember what they said, but
What?
yeah, it's
Like
because
12 inches?
no, I only say that. I only say that huge point of disparity is because at one point it was like you'll get 1 to 3, in the band that comes through where I live, and then there's other forecasts that say like 12 to 24. I'm like, can we just get just a bit better of an accuracy level there? Just a tiny bit.
No, man. They just throw the dice. That's all.
I think that's what it is. Like where you're at, is it just variance of heat? Like it's going to be either somewhat hot, really hot, or don't go outside, or you're going to have a stroke hot.
No, so like where we're in, our headquarters is in northern Arizona. So we're high desert and it gets pretty cold here. So it's 50 here right now.
Oh, no shit.
And the low is 31, which isn't like, not what you guys have going on. Like Phoenix is probably like 70s right now, but in the summer, like 118, 120, just crazy. But it's cold as shit, right? I mean, for me, it's cold, freezing out there.
No, that's definitely on the chillier side. Now it was 50 here yesterday, and I was in shorts and a t-shirt outside smoking all day. But I'm just because when it's 1 degree, it's fucking cold here. It's
I mean, it's all a spectrum, right? Like
it is for sure.
Cold for us is normal for you, and normal for us is Satan for you guys.
I could. That heat gives me anxiety. Like every time I think about how hot it gets in the summer in Arizona, I go, that's my worst nightmare. Like I think I was meant to live in something that's a little bit more cold. Like my complexion, I think gives a little bit of away. Like I would make like the best cave dweller. Like just
I'm right there with you, man. We just go from air conditioning to air conditioning. There's no like outside. Outside doesn't exist in the summer.
Yeah. So like is that what people do in the summer in Arizona? Just like hang out inside, just cool.
Hell
like, let's
yeah,
just
dude.
chill inside. Like,
hell yeah.
Outdoor activities that's when people die. Like that's what you don't want to do.
People literally die, man, for being outside in the summer. It's just like, it's not worth the risk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I always thought it was weird in Arizona, like the landscape is like rocks. Like, I'm not used to seeing rock.
It's pretty rocky. We got some cactus, bro. We got some cactus. We got
so you got a little bit of green in there. You got a little bit of green, but it's just so weird to see like people landscape their yards. For me, who's been in Ohio my whole life,
just all rock,
just rock. Granite. Yeah, like
rock and cactus and shit. Because you can't keep grass alive. You know what I mean? I mean, you can, but like you got to drown it.
And your water bill would be insane. I'm sure like the state would be super pissed at like the one person on the street that decided they wanted real grass and just kept a sprinkler on it 24 hours a day.
The wealthier areas are really green, right? Like Scottsdale is really green. People that can afford it do it because there's no laws on like water use, which there totally should be. We're literally have a metropolis in the middle of a fucking desert with no natural water. So there should be some like control, right?
Yeah.
But as is life.
Yeah. Well, money talks, right? Like the money. We were not going to complain if you're willing to pay for it. Hey, are you smoking that? Are you smoking the ones that you sent me, the Johnny Tobacconaut, and your hat? That hat is dope. I love the hat. I gotta say, so I've always been in this. It feels like a never-ending search for a Connecticut shade-grown cigar that I like, and so I think I'm like probably oversensitive when I smoke one because, or not even oversensitive. I think I'm paying attention more to the expressions of the cigar, and so when I smoked that one, I was like, oh shit, this thing is awesome. Like, first of all, the Vitola, perfect. Nailed it. Like literally perfect. Perfecto. It's great. That Vitola is magic. And I love everything about that cigar. It is so good. I think I made some comments about the band too. Like I like the artistic piece of like the simple black and gold. There is no better look to me than that. So I'm essentially jerking you off right now in the first part of the episode because I really, really, really enjoyed that cigar. Chris, did I gave you some, didn't I? Maybe
sure
I did. Okay, I thought I did. I think that cigar is outstanding. How is it performing for you guys so far? Is it doing pretty good? It seems like it is. I feel like I see it everywhere.
We're sold out.
Jesus. Shit, are you kidding me?
Yeah, less like 20 days or so it took to go. We had a decent pre-order for it, which didn't ship exactly on time. Sorry for all those of you that pre-ordered, but we can't control Nicaragua,
Womp
no
womp.
matter how bad we want to. But we got them out, and yeah, man, they sold out. We won't make it again till next year.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little treat. But yeah, dude, it just came out way better than we ever anticipated it being, which is always good to say in this industry, because sometimes
for sure
you don't meet the mark at all.
Yeah, or like you think, I always think it's which, and everybody loves their baby. Like, and I get it, you're going to support it and all that. And there's manufacturers, and there's some of the partnership stuff where I think people like hype it up like, oh no, you're going to love it, which is a weird thing to say with an utter sense of confidence, because everybody's taste is so different. So to go out there and say like, you're going to love this cigar, it's going to be the best cigar ever, you're really going to like it, because if you're talking about it, you probably enjoy it to a high degree. And your thought process is, well, everybody's going to enjoy it to the same degree that I do. Oftentimes it's not the case. So I think sometimes people get a little uncomfortable about some negative feedback, but that cigar was the first one I smoked. I was like, this is insane. Like, this is great. I was like, I found a Connecticut shade that I'm like actually pretty tickled about and not one to put down.
I'm so happy to hear that. Like, honestly, for us, like, we have a lot of special projects like this on the market, not as many as we want, but we have a lot of cool projects like this on the market. And one of the reasons that it's so easy for us to get behind stuff like this that we work on or are involved in is because we are very selective, right? We're not going to just go to any brand, any manufacturer, any factory and be like, yo, let's do a special project. It's like, no, we want that project. We tried it somehow or something. It's like, we want that. Right. How do we work together to get that? And so for us, it makes it really, really easy to get behind the project. Like, yeah, I love it. I smoke it all the time. That's not because we sell it. I don't need to sell it. We're sold out, right? Yeah. I don't need to market the thing anymore.
Right.
I enjoy it though, right? I mean, it looks amazing. It smells amazing. It tastes amazing. And I'm pretty critical with Connecticut's too myself, because so many of them taste like cardboard.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, just lackluster. And then it seems like as the cigar goes on, I like cigars that crescendo, that have like a certain ramp up. And it seems like Connecticut shades are just like, if they start out even just a moniker of disappointment, then I know I'm getting so much disappointment when I get to the end.
You're like, it's just going to be more disappointment.
Yeah, it's just going to be, I'm like, I know that there's 5 inches left in this thing. And I know that do that out that 5 inches, I'm going to be more disappointed as I go on. And that cigar, dude, I think honestly, the Vitola, and Chris and I always talk about this, like even the characteristics of the cigar that have nothing to do with flavor and has nothing to do with like the breakdown of the cigar itself as you're smoking it, but just the appeal of the cigar itself. Like you're already sold out of them, so this doesn't fucking matter. But let's just say hypothetically, you put that cigar on a shelf. That is like your eyes are going to draw attention directly to that box.
How do you not? Yeah.
Oh, it's so freaking unique. The art and the design, the whole thing. I'm like, if that was just sitting in a humidor, I could just imagine that's where my eyes are going first. Because in like the whole brand scheme of like a lot of old school brands, it seems like a lot of just the design and the art, and I get it, there's a historical factor to it, but it all blends together. Like sometimes if I'm just looking from far away, I can't tell one thing from another. Okay, I see some like gold with maybe
ornate, some pastel. Red, orange. Yeah, right. It's just
I see the same shit. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And this is a Matt Booth, right, brand. Right. This is a Room 101 brand that we are the exclusive access point to. And that's something that Matt does really good. I mean, everything that he brands is really eye-catching. It's really clean. It's really simple yet complex. Like, this is a very simple band, but it's still really complex. Like, it's really well thought together. The colors look good together. The wrapper of the leaf, the cigar band, the little paper band that he puts around it.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
It all looks good. But then you take that craziness of Matt Booth and you combine it with a factory like AJ Fernandez and Esteli, which is who makes the cigar and who helped with the blending on it. You know, it's a hard combination to avoid. You know what I'm saying? You're willing, you got the best tobacco that AJ has because you're willing to pay a little more as a boutique, as a premium. You know, you're not making a majillion of these, you're making an unknown small amount.
Right.
And that's where the powers really come in, because you're putting all the energy into a small section of cigars rather than a huge multi-million production. And it changes what you can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like that. And you know, obviously we're seeing more of that in the marketplace. And I think some people do it really well intentionally. And I think some other people try to mimic doing some things like this and don't do it as well. I always put, like, with what you guys have done, well, I would say, let me rewind real quick. I feel like luxury cigar as like a pack, like building out the luxury cigar packs, has been around longer than most, right? If I'm not crazy, like what you guys have done has been to 2018, which isn't really that long. It was only 3 years ago. But I think as far as like brand recognition and time on the market, one of the most recognizable for sure.
I think we're up there. There's others that I think have been around longer than us, but those are all like subscriptions that are like an ancillary piece of another core business. Like, so they have a retail
Thompson
store
or whatever, or like those
stuff
guys
like
famous.
that. But
right.
It's just like an add-on to what they do. Whereas this is our core. And
right.
So if you look at the companies where their core is just subscription services, we're probably one of the oldest that is still active and growing. You know, there's older ones, but they're not doing anything, or they're declining or something like that. And there's 4 kind of big ones. You guys work with one of them pretty closely. I think they're awesome guys over there at My Cigar Pack, right? You guys do stuff with My Cigar Pack, Alex, stuff.
Yep.
And they're awesome guys. And one thing that we tried really hard when we built our subscription is to not interfere with the existing subscription market, but to introduce a new version of it. You know what I mean? So our subscription pairs really well with other subscriptions, because with us, we really do the work, the legwork to get, you know, more, let's say higher premium cigars, rarer, harder to find cigars, because with the more rare they are, typically the more premium they are, just in general. Right. So, and then we spend a lot of time and energy in the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, hopefully Honduras, Costa Rica soon, building projects like this. And this is where, again, a lot of people make cigars. I won't name a lot of names. You know, you make a bunch of cigars and you call them limited edition and you put a cool band on them. And I'm like, I don't think that makes a limited edition cigar. I think what makes a limited edition cigar or a limited production cigar is the energy and effort that you put into it. You know what I mean? So the bands are gorgeous. The boxes are gorgeous. The presentation's gorgeous. All of that supports how good the smoke actually is. And then, okay, now you have something special, whether it is limited edition or limited release. It's something special, like that you can smoke and attach yourself to, that will come back eventually, instead of, okay, we made that, we're done. We made that, we're done. We made that, we're done. And so that's something that we're really big on, is just, you know, if you fall in love with the cigar because you don't have any other Connecticut's that you like to smoke, they're hard to get, but they're not impossible to get, and they'll come back again, right? Yeah, we're sold out now, but next time you're like, okay, when they come out again, I'm going to buy 3 or 4 boxes of it, so I have it for the next year, because they will come back.
Right. And I think that's part of it too, is like once you've built a profile like that of enough of these limited releases that not only have, and there again, there's a marketing aspect to it, so it creates a little bit of hype. There's an artistic piece of it. I give Matt Booth all the credit in the world for being like this weird, crazy marketing
Matt
genius.
Booth,
yeah. And so there's all those things that I think are at play. But once you get your hands on the cigar and you smoke it, and or if you're one of those people that missed out and you're seeing the smattering of pictures and reviews on social media as far as how good that cigar is, you're right. No one's going to miss it the second time around, right? Like everybody's going to want to pre-order. They're going to want to be a part of it. And now you've built a certain positive reputation for really intentionally doing something the right way, bringing the best to the market. And that only serves the consumer and you as the one providing the product to the consumer, the best of both worlds. It's a win-win. And I love that, because I agree with you. There's companies, I know you didn't want to name them, I'll say it, Viaje. When they do stuff like that, I was
going to say it too. I got another one.
That I kind of like, well, if everything's limited edition, Is that real? Like,
well, it's like,
what is
everything?
Doing?
I should be quiet, but you know, for me, I don't care what. Like a lot of guys are selling bands, right? And
for sure,
the one you named is not the only one on the market, right?
Definitely
but
not.
Like you can have a badass band, right? Like this band is amazing, but put it on an amazing cigar, and instead of selling it once, sell it for the next 30 years. Let these guys have like, for me, like, I don't know about you guys, but like cigars that I really love, I have like a weird relationship with. It's not like they're just a cigar that I smoke. You know what I mean? I'm like,
same.
Hey, what's up, baby? You know, I'm going to come smoke, you know, spend some time with you tonight, you know, whatever it is. It doesn't, it's illogical, right? Just like, you know, whatever. No, but you have cars or photography or whatever, you know what I mean? They have their own persona, their own personality a little bit. And like, I hate nothing more on the planet in the cigar world than when I find a cigar that I absolutely love and I cannot find it again. This is terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's very few things that prevent a cigar from being made again. And that's if tobacco runs out, really, or the guy that knew the magic recipe passes away and doesn't you know, it's a rare thing. So for us, man, you cigar smokers, you find something you love, please, by all means, keep buying it, because we'll keep making
and we'll keep making it. Yeah, as long as it's available to make, we'll keep making it. Yeah, it is. I totally agree with you. First of all, like, I think about, as you were saying that, I'm thinking about like some of my favorite cigars in my head, like all these ones that I gravitate towards. Like if I were to just take out all the cigars that I have, there's certain ones that like my focus and attention to goes first, especially if there's like a certain circumstance I'm in or a certain environment I'm in. It's like, oh, I know that's the one I'm courting tonight. Like you said, you made it sound semi-erotic, which I appreciate, because that's kind of how I feel about it. And but I feel the same way. And you're right. There is kind of like it goes beyond just like holding this thing in your hand and smoking it. Like there's a very intentional approach to everything that you smoke. And, you know, part of it is like, if you're Chris and you're smoking, you know, stuff to break it down and to review it and to understand it and to write some notes. And then there's the shit that no one sees, that I don't post it on social media. They don't know about. And these are the things that I sit down and I enjoy only for myself, that I can be in this like unique environment for myself at that time that is nothing related to a podcast, to a review, to notes, to talking to friends about. And it's like, those are those cool, intimate moments with cigars that I love.
You're talking about that CAO vision, aren't you?
Yeah, the fucking dude, the CAO vision.
Is that your joint, man? You like that?
Nah, yeah, it's my favorite.
No, man, I agree with you, because like I tell people all the time, like for every cigar you see me smoke, there's probably 8 that you didn't see me smoke. And half of that is work, right? Because every single cigar that goes into our subscription, we smoke at least 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
That's got to be tough. Sure. That sounds terrible.
you have to
so
do
bad. I'm kidding.
Dude, but you know what? It is. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Yes. Because sometimes there's the shit that you have to smoke, and there's the shit that you want to smoke.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So you know what I'm saying, right?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Well, so yeah. Okay, boohoo me, I get to smoke a lot of cigars, but also it's like sometimes I want to smoke a cigar and just enjoy it, but I have this like pile of cigars that I have to smoke, and it's like or Ben, my business partner's calling me like, hey, did you smoke that yet? Hey, did you smoke that yet? And it's like, I'll smoke it right now, man. I'll smoke, you know what I mean? Like, it's a good cigar. I'm excited, but that Johnny Tobacconaut looks really good right now.
Right. Well, it's good that you put the focus and intention, right? Like, you're wanting it. So the whole thing is you're wanting to put things in packs and to have an understanding of them and to articulate them to a potential customer or consumer. Like, hey, I've been there. I've smoked this thing, and this is why it's going in this month's pack or next month's pack or whatever it may be. You're doing that due diligence, which I admire to the fullest. But I totally understand what you're saying, because there's times where I've got my list of things to go through and I go, I don't want to smoke that today.
I don't want to do it.
Or I'll push it off a few days, or be like, oh, fuck, I'll get to it at the end of the week.
The worst is when it's not only something that you just probably don't gravitate towards for a blend, but it's just like a lineup of a bunch of 7x64s, and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, we're really lucky in that, like, we don't put anything in the box that we don't like to smoke. So big ring gauges don't make it there that often, just because it's not. I hate having lockjaw after I have a cigar. Exactly. You know what I mean? But there's times, man, where it's just like, no, you know, you have to, right? Because if I'm saying, look, we curated this box for you, you paid us money. My job is to give you the best experience that I can, right? Exactly. And if I don't do that, if we don't do that, then we stole money from you, and we do not want to do that. So I can't guarantee you're going to like all the cigars I send. That's ridiculous, right? Because my palate is different than your palate. It's different than Chris's palate, right? But if we smoke them 3 or 4 times, 8 times each, we can identify construction issues. We can identify consistency issues. And those are things that are definable, measurable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the flavor, you just get what we like. Now, every now and then we put one in that no one's had before, if it's like a brand new release or like a limited edition or something like that. So those do happen, right? But that adds to another value point of the club, which is uniqueness, excitement, right? Like, oh shit, here's that new, right? From Crown Heads, or that new stick from Tatuaje, or whatever it is. So whatever, man, we do it all.
Yeah, no, it's,
and we love it.
And so Chris, with that, can you break down for us, because you have a wide array of packs that you offer, different styles, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, the Platinum seems to be the most popular, but you have the Palladium and you have these other things that are interlaced into it. So can you explain like the breakdown of what you have for the consumer?
Absolutely, man. So I'll start kind of, you want me to go like by price, or you want me to go chronologically and do like a Star Wars thing that's even more confusing?
Star Wars.
I was going to say price, but whatever you want to do, whatever you think is going to come across the audience the best, you can do that.
None of it makes any sense. I'll go by price. So this is not the first package we released. This is the 3rd or 4th package that we released, but the cheapest one we have, I shouldn't say cheapest, the most affordable package we have is called the Core Box. Okay.
Is that the 3?
It's 3 cigars a month.
Okay.
It's $18.99 a month. Plus shipping. Okay. The average retail of the box over the past year has been $31. So you pay $18.99, you get $31. This is not anything special. And I say that with a couple grains of salt, right? You're not going to get like limited editions or Opus X or anything like that in the box. You're getting good core line product from good reputable brands. You're getting Roma, you're getting Crown Heads, Tatuaje, Lugione, just good reputable brands, good value. And it's a really good place if you are on a budget and you're looking to explore outside of your local humidor, or it's a really good place if you're a brand new cigar smoker and you want to skip the Cigar International garbage and go to like, a premium retail outlet, whether it's us or someone else. This is a good way to find new cigars. And I say that with the utmost respect to Cigar International and the crazy business they've built, but I don't smoke anything they sell. Right. So the next one we have price wise is actually our gold tier. And I think it's like $39.99 a month, but it's sold out and closed. We're not going to open any more spots in it. It's also 3 cigars a month, but it's 3 cigars out of the Platinum box.
Gotcha.
Okay. So the one after that is the Platinum box, which is our most popular tier. It's the first one we started with. It's $50 a month plus shipping. All of them are plus shipping. And you get 5 cigars in that box. And the MSRP on that box is usually about $70, between $70 and $80, depending. Now, when I talk about this MSRP number, we're not talking about discountable cigars, right? Like, so you're not going to go find these cigars for 20% off, 30% off somewhere. This is what they sell for across the country, right? This is the price point that the manufacturer themselves says this cigar should sell for this.
Yeah.
Then we have our Palladium, which is one tier above Platinum, but it's really like a 10th of a tier above. They say they share the same DNA. It's $53 a month plus shipping. And really, they're very similar in their retail values. You might get a couple bucks more out of the Palladium box. And the reason is we should have had a price increase on our Platinum box a year ago, but there's been so many members in that subscription that have been loyal to us from basically the beginning that we are keeping that cheap just to say thank you for the support. Like, you guys are OGs. You got in there before everyone else. This is your benefit. This is the benefit you get for being a supporter from the beginning, because it really should be priced at about the same as the Palladium box. So they're roughly similar in their quality and consistency. And actually, a lot of sticks go into both boxes, maybe not in the same month, but they will end up, in both boxes.
Right.
We just released our newest tier, Sapphire. It's $69.99 a month. It's a minimum of 5 cigars a month. up to 7 or 8, depending. And the retail value for that is around $100 to $110 a month. Whew. And that's sold out also. We open a few spots a month and they sell out within minutes. And then our highest tier, which is our diamond tier, it's $150 a month for a variable number of cigars. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 10, just depends. That's all guaranteed to be aged, limited, or rare. And that's been sold out for 2 years now. And I think we have something like 3,000 people on the wait list for it. And no one has left. No one's left, man. No one
idea. Cause like, I feel like with the platinum and ups lineups, like what are some of your favorite releases that have come out in some of your packs over the years where you're like, these are like some of the stuff you can get with those upper tiers?
I mean, so Atabey, we see Byron, we've done Opus before, Padron, like 64 Padron stuff, LFD, Davidoff. If you want to talk about like really key luxury brands, those go in there. But also, I mean, you guys can go to our Instagram and look back and kind of see pictures of everything that we've ever done there. I think we have, I don't know, we've been posting the boxes on Instagram since we started. And our club is for the cigar nerd, is the way that it has really developed, because you're not going to get things that you can find on every humidor shelf, right? You're going to get things that are regional, or even maybe you've never heard of, newer to the market. So we spend a lot of time in the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, like I said, and every time we're there's 4 or 5 brands that we're talking to about, where do you sell? Oh, we don't sell yet. Okay, let's try the cigar. Holy shit, this thing is good. Okay, how do we get it to the market? Let's hook you up with a distributor. Let's hook you up with an importer. Let's get it ready, because we want to buy it, but we don't want to buy it if there's nowhere for these people to go get it. Right. Because that's really important to us. And that's good for us. It's good for you as a consumer, and it's good for the brand, right? You don't want to make noise in a market and then not be available.
Of course.
So the spectrum is wide. We do all kinds of crazy stuff, but you can't go wrong with the list that I've already named. There's some good names on there, man.
Some of the best cigars. And I was like, one of the things I've always given one, not only what's available in your packs, which is, it really is, I mean, definitionally in parallel with your name. But 2, the photography is amazing. Do you guys do your own photography?
All in house. Actually, there's a desk right here. He gets off at 3 every day, but that's Sam. Yeah. He's our marketing director type guy. He actually used to be our best local customer.
Nice.
And I'm like, yo, do you know how to use a camera? He's like, actually, yeah, Photoshop. I'm like, you want a job, man? And so we turned our best customer into our employee, and then he became a better customer after that, which is awesome. But
yeah, even better.
He takes care of 99% of the photography. There's actually photos of him on social media every now and then. And if there's a photo of him, I took it. So I used to do all the photography, and he took over at some point. But yeah, we do it all in house because we want to really control the image to the best of our ability.
Yeah. And it makes sense too. And also, like, especially it's weird now. There's like this weird expectation, right? So if you have all these really nice cigars, you want to shoot them with nice photography. Like, you want to make sure that visually they're expressed in the best way possible, because they are luxury cigars. So they should come with higher level photography around it. It's not just like, you imagine just shooting like a shitty picture of, like, let's just say you have like a Davidoff or an Atabey or Byron or any combination of those in a pack, and you're just like shooting it with your fucking shitty iPhone 7 and being like, well, put it on the Instagram page.
It's like, stop shooting your photos with overexposure on a white piece of copy paper, all blurry and shit. No one likes it.
Yo, man, and we've taken hints from some of the best accounts out there, right? Like Matthias Klock's account. Actually, I remember back in the day, I used to look at your account a lot to see what you guys are doing and how you're doing it, because there is a way that you can take a photo. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, right? Holding them in your hand or something like that. Right. That improves the perceived quality of the product.
Yeah, and exactly. Nailed it.
When you're selling stuff online, anything you can do to improve the perceived quality of product, the better. I will say that there's not one thing in our humidor that we don't smoke, right? So there is still that quality of control piece that happens here. And if something comes in and it gets we love it, but it gets bad market feedback. It doesn't come back. You know what I mean? So all these brands that we work with, we tell them like, we want to support you to the best of our ability, but your product has to stand on its own against the consumer. Cause you know, we're only going to sell what our people like.
Right. Consumers don't lie, man. They'll tell you what they like and what they don't like, which I feel like in certain products that you have, probably not too much of an issue. Like a few that you name, like Byron, like, is there anybody who's like, yeah, fuck Byron? Like,
you know what? There's some people that are like, fuck Byron, but
because price, is that what it is?
They have a price thing. For this amount of money, it should give me this experience. And I'm like, well, maybe the conversation should be for that amount of money. Why is it that expensive? Because there's some good reasons why Byron, Atabey, you know, brands like that are so expensive, because they're aged for 4 or 5 years after they're rolled. So someone has to pay to make the damn cigar and then sit it on a shelf for 5 years. That costs money.
Oh, sitting on a shelves costs so much money. Most places are used to, you know, quick product turns. That's the whole name of a business. But if you have to sit product on a shelf, it eats into everything.
So expensive. Yeah. And they're like, you know, you're like, okay, so you want that quality of cigar, but you want to pay $8 for it. Okay, good luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where we get it. It's not worth the price. And I'm like, no, it is worth the price, but it's not worth the price to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's a huge market of guys that only buy $30 cigars. That's all they smoke. You know what I mean? And for them, it's like $3. You know, so it's all relative. It's all sliding. The way that I like when reviewers do stuff, if you're going to mention price, mention what it costs. You know what I mean? But like, review the cigar, right? The price is not as important, right? It's either a good cigar or it's not a good cigar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's all value proposition, really. That's what it is. Like, that's like you said, it's sliding, and I totally get that, because there's times of which I've like smoked a cigar, and I think one thing relative to price that is more objective is like, if you're paying a premium for a cigar and it's rolled like shit, and you have all kinds of construction issues burning, then we're talking. If it's a quality component, we've got problems. If it's something that's as subjective as flavors, then that's just an opinion piece of it, right? And you can choose not to ever buy that cigar. Like a Byron, it's like, I don't think this is worth $40. Cool, you don't have to buy it again. But there's going to be, but there's a reason Byron still sells. There's a reason why they sell at $40, because I've had them and they are incredible. Like, I love those cigars.
There's no doubt there's been cigars that we've reviewed in the past where it'd be a $10 stick and we think it's overpriced, and then we would smoke a $20 stick and think it's underpriced.
Because price is like, I don't want to say it, but I'll say it, like, it's not relevant to the actual experience, right? Because, you know, maybe someone gave it to you. Okay, you smoke a Byron and it was free. Are you going to say, oh, well, it wasn't a great cigar because it's $30? You're going to say, dude, I love this cigar. Right. Oh, then you find out it's $30 and you don't love the cigar. You know what I mean? I don't know how to measure that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to measure it. Right. So the only thing that makes sense is quality. If you're going to charge me $30 for a cigar, every damn cigar better taste the same, and they all better burn good, and they all better deliver like each other. That's it, right? That's what I want. And, you know, there's brands which you can say they do. Atabey, dude, our company internally probably smokes $2,000 worth of Atabey a month. You know what I mean? I mean, between my warehouse team and my marketing team and my business partner and I, Atabey is the most consistent smoking brand I've ever come across. And it's because the guy, you know, Nelson Alfonso, the guy behind Atabey, Byron Bandolero, is a 5th generation tobacco guy. This dude does all the design, the humidor design, the ashtray design for Cohiba of Cuba. He's not just some dude selling a $30 cigar, right? Like, he knows what he's doing.
Right.
And, you know, you said it, you could buy it, or you don't have to. There's a lot of $10 cigars that are freaking amazing. Let's go buy those. There's something for you.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think part of it comes along to, and I love your example of if someone gave you a Byron, which that's happened to me before, and which is fantastic. It's happened twice.
That's awesome.
I'm like, why did I get 2 free Byrons? So what happened?
That's
here?
Awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So, and then that part of it is, I think there's the economics behind it. And it is, if you are a consumer of cigars, you know what your threshold is to be able to pay for a cigar. If you want the Byron and you don't think it's worth the price, or you think it's worth the price, you save up for it. If you don't think it's worth the price, you don't have to smoke it, right? That's why there's this wide range of, you know, you can buy a cigar for a couple dollars. and you can buy cigars that are really expensive. It's all economics. It's what you can afford and when the kind of value that you want out of the smoking experience and all that. I always thought the strangest thing to me though, and Chris, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is like when I would say new, relatively unknown brands come to the market. Cause I do think there is, this is one that I struggle with because there are certain brands. I'll use Davidoff as an example. Davidoff can charge $20 for a cigar, but they've built this reputation to do so over a long period of time. But there are some brands that hit the marketplace that literally come out with like their first or second or third cigar are upwards of that $20 price. And no one knows who they like. I don't even know who they are. I don't know what they represent. They have no reputation. I don't know the background. Do you ever find that to be kind of weird? And do you find cigars like that you are wanting to put in your packs, or do you typically stay away from stuff like that?
So we actually have done a cigar that was like that. J London is the cigar brand, and they're made in the Dominican Republic. And I think their cheapest, they only have one blend. That's it right now, just one blend. So this is a prime example of what you're talking about. And I think his cheapest cigar is maybe $15, and I think it goes all the way to 25. So I think average of $20 a stick or something like that. And I got a call from a buddy once who's like, yo, you got to try this cigar. It's really good. So I tried it, and instantly I was in love. And I shy away from having the price conversation as much as I possibly can. Now, the brand behind it is very important to us, right? Reputation is important. Construction is important. Can we trust them? Can we make a large investment in their brand and their product and trust that we're going to get it? All of these things are important. So we go look at the manufacturer. Okay, well, this is made at Tabacalera William Ventura in the Dominican Republic. They make 5 million cigars a year. They know what they're doing. They know how to make cigars. They make Caldwell. They make Room 101. They make all kinds of stuff there, right? So, okay, I have faith. So then it comes back to the cigar. The brand is irrelevant. Take the band off of it and smoke the cigar. Is a cigar good? Yes. Okay, that's what we want. We want a good cigar. $20 is that how I would launch a brand? No, not at all. But that doesn't mean it's not possible.
Yeah.
The problem becomes when you come out of a no-name factory and you have not perfected your packaging, you have not perfected your marketing, your blend is not right, your cigars aren't ready, whatever it is, and then you ask for that premium. You know what I mean? If you've done everything that you need to do to ask for that premium, then by all means do it. Yeah. And the reality is cigars are getting more expensive, people, right? They are going to keep getting more expensive. Nicaragua has had a lot of bad years of crop, so they're buying all the filler they can out of the Dominican Republic right now. There's other companies like Davidoff that are going through and buying entire crops of San Andreas leaf, all kinds of crazy stuff. Wood is more expensive. Labor is getting more expensive. So, I mean, just this year alone, we've been receiving price increases from all of the vendors we work with, anywhere between 5% and 8%. I haven't seen one manufacturer not do at least one price increase in the recent 3 months, and I've seen some do two. Yep. I mean, it happens. That's the nature of the beast, but it's going to be a little more aggressive now. And so one of our goals is actually, that's one of the reasons we're going to the Dominican Republic a lot right now, is to work with some of these master blenders, these amazing factories, to tell the story behind the cigar process and manufacturing. I mean, everybody's done some documentary about, touched by 300 hands and hand rolled and all these cool documentaries, but we're going a little more deep diving on some of this stuff because it's important for you. Like if you go down to the Dominican Republic, if you can, you should, if you haven't, and you visit a factory, you visit a field, and you look at how long it takes from seed to smoke on these cigars, and you go, that's $12.
It's absurd to think about.
It's ridiculous because if it was done in the States or if it was done in any
be $100
first world country, it'd be $100 freaking cigar all day long. So so we're very lucky to be paying the prices that we're paying for cigars right now.
Yeah,
that's just it. But to answer your question in a really long way, yeah, man, price, it's important. You get to choose what you spend your money on. But if the cigar is good, that's what the cigar costs. It's up to you if you want to smoke it or not.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm a huge Davidoff fan. I make it known, and I've never looked for a deal on Davidoff. You know what I mean? Like I go, it's like whatever it is at this place, I'm going to pay for it because I love it. Like, and I've paid variances of cost for like, I love the Colorado Claire is one of my all time favorite cigars. And I've paid $19 for that cigar and I've paid $30 for that cigar. And I didn't bitch either time. If I got it for 19, I'm like, oh, cool. If I got it for 30, I'm like, oh, cool. It doesn't make a difference.
The way that I look at it, it's all just lack of logic because most people in this country specifically have no problem going and spending $6 on a shitty cup of coffee.
Good point. Okay.
So why would you have a problem spending $20 on something that's going to last you 2 hours, hour and a half, that you're probably going to enjoy with friends, and that with a name like Davidoff or a name like Fuente is freaking worth it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, man. It's just, where do people decide to be irresponsible with their money? Because for me, it's cigars, man.
I'm the same way. I actually had to create a budget. I've budgeted for cigars before. And we're lucky enough to get a lot of cigars and not have to pay for them. And that's nice. But I've finally had to put a budget in place for cigars because there's times where I'll go and review all my receipts for everything I bought in a month. And I'm like, I can't keep doing that. Because I'm the guy that's like,
count.
I know.
Never count.
I know that's the problem. The problem is like it's like, oh, it's just one Byron, or it's just one Opus, or it's just a couple Davidoff. And by the end of the month, I'm like, oh, I just spent $400 and like 20 cigars. What the fuck was I doing?
Dude,
but here's the thing.
It's never just one.
It's never
just one.
It's not one. It's not one. It's like a kid in a candy shop. And anybody who's a real cigar smoker knows exactly what that is. And so that's why I found, like, when I see some of the images that you guys post, the different cigars that you have, I'm like, how do you just not sit there all day and just, maybe you do, just smoke the shit out of all those cigars? That to me seems like the funnest job on earth.
Bro, dude, you have no idea how hard it is to not smoke stuff sometimes. Like you open the humidor and you have that cigar that just stares at you every time. You have to bury it under other ones or else you're going to smoke it. But then you still know it's there and it's like fucking calling to you. And you're like, I can't, but maybe I will. And then, like, literally the other day I was sitting in the office smoking this Opus that I've been holding. And I was sitting here and Sam walks in and he goes, just like extreme judgment. You know what I mean? I just felt like, I know, man, I have no self-control. I had to do it.
It was calling to me. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, I totally agree. And do you, so you smoked an Opus. I have a question on this because I don't know, for whatever reason, like Opus ends up being this very polarizing, I would say, sub-brand of, and obviously there's limited stuff, Lost City, the whole thing, right? There's so much, I feel like so much polarization from the consumer base around Opus. Like people are like, it's just way overrated. And I'm somebody I'm not a huge like Fuente fan across the board, but I'm an absolute Opus X dick rider to the fullest. Like if I can smoke an Opus X, I will smoke it any chance that I get, no matter the variation of it.
Is it because you like the way it tastes, or is it
Love
like
it.
Okay. I mean, first of all, Opus, everyone knows what Opus is, right? Opus is like the Fuente aged and rare selection. So you go to their factory and they have 8 fucking giant rooms full of unbanded cigars with dates like 2008, 2002. That's all going to be Opus, right? That's all of it. And so the amount of work and energy that they put into those cigars clearly is validated by what they do. I think they're too cheap, honestly, because they resell on the gray market for way more. Fuente could make an arm and a leg personally on them, but they choose not to. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You know what I mean? There is that like band shock that happens. Like, I can't get it. It's hard to get. So I get it. And maybe I love it because I can't get it. But if you do have easy access to Opus, I think there's better cigars in the Fuente core line than like just a core Opus blend. For instance, like the Casa Cuba, which is a brick and mortar stick they do. It's only for brick and mortars.
Yeah,
it's like
I just smoked
$9-10. It's an amazing cigar.
I smoked 2 of them actually last week, and I'm pleasantly surprised on how good that cigar was.
It's a freaking amazing cigar, man, and it's affordable too. Mm-hmm. Or you have the Don Carlos line, which is one of my favorite lines to smoke out of. You have the Rosado line. There's a lot of really good lines there. I like to smoke Opuses, but I find myself smoking like the Forbidden 13s and like the Magnum O's and things like that, kind of the more eclectic versions of Opus. because they are unique flavor to the brand. So
right.
I don't know, man. We always say here, don't smoke the band. You know what I mean? Just don't smoke it, because does every cigar that Davidoff make awesome? No, there's some freaking trash there.
Yeah, there's duds for sure. Yeah, right? I've smoked most of them, and there's ones I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, there's some shit like, what the hell were you guys thinking with this, dude?
Yeah, you definitely go, what did you do here? I don't understand. Yeah, it's just interesting, because it's like it always seems to be this argumentative point around like Obis. Like Chris and I will do like overrated, underrated stuff, and it's a lot based on own opinion and a lot based on like feedback of others. But it always seems like that brand in particular seems to be the most polarizing, where it's like I'm either hardcore in it or it's like fucking garbage. Like I'm like, all right.
It can't be garbage, in my opinion. You may not like the way it tastes, but they put the energy, and they do all the right stuff with it. So I have to take it out of the garbage pile immediately just because of that. Is it for you? No. Okay. It's not for you. That doesn't mean that it's not an amazing product. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I always like look at cars, right? Like you can go spend $2,000 on a 1982 Honda Civic. It'll get you from A to B, but it will not be the experience of the brand new Mercedes, right?
That's it.
They both do the same damn thing. They both turn on, they both drive, they both have 4 tires. Neither of them flies. You know what I mean? But the experience between one and the other is 2 completely different things. Yeah. And that's what you're buying when you go into these ultra premium brands like Opus or Davidoff's more limited stuff. You're buying the experience, the crazy humidors, the packaging, the branding, a little bit of the clout, the class that comes with some of it. That's it, man. You know what I mean?
It's a great way of putting it. And honestly, I think more people need to hear that too. Because I think oftentimes the conversation really does come down to, there's the subjective piece of it, but also, and I agree with you, and I want to reflect back on what you said as far as like, it's crazy to understand. And I remember, when Chris and I went to the Dominican, we actually went to the El Artista factory. So we got to see everything from beginning to end. Yeah. And it is almost unfathomable how they could sell a cigar for $5 even. And I go, how's it even fucking possible?
Unfathomable. Like how? And in what you guys pay, what we pay in the States, there's shipping, there's import tax, there's all these other stateside fees on top of that. So some of these cigars, I mean, just to be candid, if you're paying $10 retail for a cigar here in the States and it came out of the Dominican Republic, that cigar probably cost $1 or less to manufacture.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It doesn't seem real. It really doesn't seem real, because just when you get to see how everything is produced from beginning to end, and really how many people do touch it. I mean, it's like it cannot be overstated. And you go, how is all the testing, like everything? And you just go, how is that even possible?
I'm shocked every time I'm there. I'm like, this doesn't make sense, man. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, it makes, I guess, it's all to do with the economy and everything else and all the stuff that happens there. But it's like, it's really strange just to think about how operationally they're able to pull that off. And then the fact that like we get to sit here like high and mighty and enjoy all of it, or just, or we get the luxury of complaining, like
complain. That's what I was going to say.
I cannot believe this is $8. You like puff your nose. You're like,
yeah, $8. Like, $12, not worth it. Like, yeah. Bro, it should be a $20 cigar all day long.
It's a really good point. It's a really good point.
It's just important, when you're detached from like the origin of the product, it's very easy to sit there and judge like everything about it. But once you are intimately involved in its creation, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, this is a different beast.
Yeah.
Some of these guys put everything they have into making these cigars. Everything. I'm talking about brands, manufacturers, everything, and they still try to do it in a way that makes it affordable for you, the end consumer, to purchase.
Right.
And I'm just telling everyone now, everyone should be ready to pay a little bit more for their cigars over the next few years, and everyone should not complain about it, because they're still getting a freaking steal.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. It's nutty. It's really nutty to think about, like just how much goes into it. I remember just reflecting on the experience of like Chris and I trying, and I say trying, it's using the term trying, to roll a cigar, actually produce a cigar, and how impossible it feels your first time to get it right. And then you realize that there's someone who does this to perfection every single day, hundreds of times a day.
200 to 500 times a day.
In fucking insane.
When we spend like 3 minutes plus making a cigar, like, or just wrapping it, just putting the wrapper on, like 3 minutes of cigar.
And there's people who are producing just zipping through them like it's nothing.
It was fun though. It was kind of like, I felt like for all of us, because we had people that didn't speak English that were standing over us who are like master rollers, like helping us, who don't speak a lick of English. And I felt like Patrick Swayze and what's her face from Ghost, like they were like using my hands and like helping me like roll them, and like I can't even speak to them properly. I just like nod and smile.
You're like, okay, I don't know, but okay.
I did feel a set of calloused hands come over my shoulders at one point, helping guide my hands through this process. I do remember that, and I felt like this guy's getting super frustrated with me. Like, dude, how many times do I have to tell you it's this way? And I'm like, I can't do this. This is not for me.
I've never been successful. I'll tell you that, man. I've never been successful.
Yeah, I've only tried a few times, and I'm like, you know what? I like being on the other side of it. I like just doing the media stuff. I'm good with that.
Leave it to the pros, man, because this shit that we are trying to do is I'm costing you money right now, man. Yeah. I'm wasting your stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So Chris, what's like the next evolution of luxury? Like, what are you guys anticipating wanting to do? Like, let's say 2022, which we're in the thick of it now, but even into the future, like you said, you have this huge back order, or you have a huge list of folks who want to get on board with the club, but for reasons the which you guys conduct your business, hey, you're on a waiting list. You're going to be there for a while. So what does that look like? And then what are some of the other things that you want to open up categorically?
Well, first I'll tell you the reason, and I'll tell everyone because I don't think it can be said enough. The reason that we don't just open a million spots to fill people in is because the most important thing we have is the quality control that we do. And if we have to go to a manufacturer and say, hey, you're releasing a limited edition. Yeah, okay, we want it. We want to buy 20,000 of them. They're like, okay, well, the limited edition is only 7,000 cigars. Right. Okay. Well, I can't give that to all my members because one of the things is if you're in platinum tier, if you two are in platinum tier, you guys are going to get the same cigars every month. So you guys can A, experience it together, or right. B, hop on our social communities. We have a Discord server and you can experience that subscription with other people. So for everyone to get something different would be just terrifying. A, B, it would be impossible for us to do like the info cards and things like that. So we keep this tier smaller so that we can keep the quality as high as we possibly can.
Right.
As far as what's next, we are not a business that plans very far. we have projects that we're working on, exclusives with brands like, Room 101, maybe Steve Saka, some other stuff like that that's coming out from time to time. And that's where we're putting a lot of energy into right now, is just trying to help the market develop a little bit in that sense, because there's a lot of development in the market in the like new cigars coming onto the market, but most of them traditionally lack quality. And so we want to do some of that. We don't want to be a cigar manufacturer per se. We want to keep pushing the educational road, but we really don't have an awesome direction. I wish I had a really cool answer for you, but I don't. One day we'll decide, okay, let's do this, and we try it, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Because I think here at Luxury Cigar Club, we're of the opinion that the industry is going to change pretty significantly over the next 5 years, and so in order to be able to be nimble with that change, we don't plan a lot.
Right. That makes sense. I was actually going to say that your ability to be flexible on the go, given circumstances that come about certain industry things, not having to plan for something 5 years down the road and then start executing on it over the course of that 5 years, you can help shape your business in a different direction that the industry may pull you in, whether you want it to or you don't want it to. It may just do that inherently.
The worst case scenario is we end up with 20,000 cigars that we can't sell. And I'm like, I can smoke those in a few years. You know what I mean? Like, I'll figure out a way to do something with it. for us, it's a passion. I'll tell you now, if you want to start making money, do not go into the cigar industry. This is not a lucrative industry.
Amen, my friend.
But it is a fun industry. It's a lifestyle industry. You get to travel, you get to smoke cigars with people and call it work. Right. What are we doing right now? We're sitting down talking and smoking cigars, and I'm working.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I would be doing if I wasn't working.
It's pretty crazy. And I think it is kind of cool to curtail that into something that is more meaningful for you beyond just the smoking experience. But I've said the same thing, and I'm so glad that you stated it. And I've had this conversation with so many people. I'm like, you want to start a cigar brand? Don't do it because you want to get rich, because it's not going to happen.
No, if it's a passion, do it.
Yeah.
By all means, do it. But if this is your ticket out of the ghetto, you just stay there, man. Stay there, because you're not gonna get there like this.
It's gonna be a badass cigar name though, the Ghetto.
The Ghetto.
There you go, Chris. That's your next release.
So maybe we have a project with someone called the Barrio. I don't know. It might be happening, right? But
I love it.
For us, it's just fun, man. I just want to have fun. I want to have that experience. Like, when you order a package and you like check the tracking every single day, like, okay, is it there yet? Is it there yet? That's sure what we're like with our cigars, right? Like, is Johnny Tobacconaut going to be here? Yeah, it's here. And like the first thing, we're tearing boxes open, smoking them. And they're like, okay, now we have to do work, but like, look, we got them, it's just fun, man.
Yeah. The thing that you can actually wake up and get excited about, there's so many people too, like, are in this feverish hell 9-to-5 jobs that, they can't wait for the day to end so they can smoke a cigar. And I think there's something to be said about like merging a passion with business. And sometimes it does get arduous. And I'm there even with, we've done this podcast for 4.5 years now. And there's times where I'm like, God damn, producing stuff. And then even the realities around having to smoke something because someone sent you some samples and you're like, hey, yeah, I promised them I would test this out, even though I really don't want to smoke this right now. And you just pull yourself up and go, I fucking got to man up and do it.
I hear you.
But overall, if you think about just in totality, it's like how fucking fun. And the people, I think the community too, that aspect, which I obviously your consumers, I would assume are highly integrated into your business beyond just, hey, I'm going to pay you this money. This is the exchange, and here are my goods. People post and people hashtag and people party. You said you have a Discord, like creating that community around it, making it so much more meaningful than the product itself is what cigars are all about. It's amazing. It's such an amazing thing that when I tell people who don't smoke cigars, I'm like, you don't know what you're missing. Like you have no clue what you're missing on.
I mean, without all the communities that exist around, whether it's around your podcast or whether it's around the Barrel Burners Club or the Ashhole Cigar Club or all the, local clubs that get together, cigars wouldn't exist, man, because what they have always been for is to sit down and enjoy the time. That's it, right? Sit down, enjoy your time. And almost everybody likes to sit down and enjoy time with friends, with family, whatever. And it's just, some of my best all-time memories are around cigars, but they always play like a back piece, a back spot in the memory. It's the people that I'm with or the laughter that we had or whatever. There's a cigar there for sure. And maybe that's a thing that brought us all together that night or whatever, but it's the relationships that we've been able to build through the cigar, and it'll never go away because of that. It can't.
I really like the combination of different industries with cigars. Like some of the funnest times I have, especially if I'm at a lounge, is when there's like the combination of like the cigar smoker with like the bourbon drinker. Like when you have like two different communities that like end up meeting up at the same place.
Clash. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then you're like educating them on cigars. They're educating you on drinks and bourbons and scotches and ryes. And you're like, dude, this is the fucking best day ever, man.
So fun.
Dude, we did a pairing once. I can't remember where it was, but there was a bourbon rep and there was us, and we were pairing together. And it was really funny because I'm like, wait a second, like in the middle of the pairing, I'm like, how are you pairing this? Like, what's your goal? And they're like, our goal is to find a cigar that best accentuates the flavor of the bourbon. And I'm like, dude, my goal is to find a bourbon that best accentuates the flavor of a cigar. Amen. So it's like boom, worlds colliding, but working perfectly together at the same time. Yep. I was like, I never had that perception. You know what I mean? And there's a new world of flavor that you can explore when you start, coffee or bourbon or.
Oh, there definitely is. And that's something like I've intentionally experimented with over the past 2 years. I've really got heavy into bourbon in the recent 2 years. And it does kind of suck because in the purity of what we have to do in terms of breaking down a cigar and reviewing and taking notes, I can't have bourbon interrupting what that flavor is unless I'm doing those things intentionally together. However, in the time of which is just leisure for me, I'm looking for ways either intentionally to try to do something that is so insanely contrasting or to do something that's so insanely complementary. And it's so the experimentation around it is opened up this whole other world for me. And it's so much fun. And I know a lot of people already do that and they've been doing that. But for me, it's how do I take the cigar smoking experience to another level? And I can just do it by interlacing in certain alcohols. And I only drink bourbon neat. It's just it's a pour in a glass and that's it. There's no on the rocks. There's nothing I in its purest sense, I want those two things to collide together. And it is there's times where I'm this combination absolutely sucks. I can't drink any more of this, but it gets me thinking. Cause then I go, well, I really
Why did it suck? Why did it suck?
I start thinking about the whys and then I go, well, I think it this cigar, this other cigar that I'm not smoking, I think maybe this combination with this bourbon would work good, or this other bourbon would work really well with this cigar, and start getting to think about different things you can experiment and try. And that's such a fun process for me.
You're onto something here. What if we start a new type of pairing? Maybe cigars, but with romance novel book club type shit. And it's what cigars go with this romance novel? You know what I'm saying?
I'd listen to that. I'd listen to that.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
I came across a pairing that I like. So one of my favorite all-time scotches is Octomore, right? Just the super peat, smoky.
Oh, you like the peatiness. Yeah.
Oh my God. Just give it all to me. Right. And usually it kills cigar flavor in general, right? It's not a great pairing with a cigar. And I was smoking an Atabey one night and someone poured me a glass of Octomore and I'm like, oh dude, I'm going to destroy this cigar with this, but I don't say no. Right. So boom, drink, smoke. Holy shit. Holy grail of pairings. That Atabey turned up to 1 million, right? I'm this should not work. Why does this work? You know what I mean?
It's crazy. Isn't that weird too?
It fucking work, dude.
What's so strange about it is you could have smoked and two different ways. You could have smoked any other cigar and that could have been awful. Like you said, the peatiness of a scotch can overwhelm anything. And so it would introduce any other cigar and that scotch would have been overwhelming, or the vice versa. If it was that Atabey cigar with any other scotch, it may have been just a mismatched combination. But for whatever reason, those two things worked perfectly in unison together. And that's a fucking strange, because then it gets me thinking, I'm like, well, what is it about it? I don't understand what it is. And I've taken notes and I go, well, is it this thing? Is it this? And then part of me just goes, well, who fucking cares? If you like it, you like it.
I went through half a bottle of Octomore and a bunch of Connecticut's trying to recreate it more affordably. And it doesn't fucking exist, man. But if you took an LFD double Lajero or something like that and smoked it with that Octomore, you would not taste the cigar. You just wouldn't fucking taste it. Right. You know what I mean? So it's just dude, I don't know. Just like you said, it works. I'm not going to question it. Now I know, right?
Now you know. Yep.
There's one I know.
That's the experiment. Yep. That's the experiment. It's so cool to try all that stuff. Chris, I do have a question for you before we wrap up. Just in terms of cigars. So just reflecting back on 2021 in general, strange year as 2020 was. And I think everybody's let's move beyond it. But in terms of cigar releases, was there anything that you were super excited about that maybe disappointed you to a degree, or what was your favorite aspect to cigars in 2021?
I mean, so everything that I say is personal opinion and just my perception of the experience. It does not represent how we feel about a brand or a manufacturer or anything like that, right? Because So like there's a couple cigars that came out of Ace Prime Cigars, which is Luciano down in Nicaragua. And the Fiat Lux and the La Patissier, however you say it, were two cigars that came out of that factory last year that I had no ambition for and blew me away. I mean, just absolutely rocked my socks. I think the cigar that disappointed me more than I anticipated was this. So 2021's Tatuaje T110 release. The Sumatra, the broadleaf, the Capa Especial, all three of them fell pretty short of the mark for me, but they just dropped their cohits. I don't know what you call it, how you pronounce it. And the broadleaf on that, I mean, already it's on my top 10 list for this year, right? And it's only February 2nd. I mean, I have smoked so many of them in the past 2 days. And so that was one that I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be so good. I'm like, yeah, it's good, but it didn't do what I thought it was going to do.
Yeah, I really like the T110 releases. I actually both. The Capa Special and the broadleaf, I actually enjoyed more than I thought I was going to. Weirdly enough, but I do agree with you in terms of the Fiat Lux and the La Patissier were two cigars. The La Patissier was the kind of wild card one for me because it's that. It's like it's not an evolution, but in parallel with like the La Carême, right? Like the whole idea is like La Patissier's pastry chef, and it's kind of an ode to the more dessert style notes and all that, which I thought was going to be kind of a weird thing to create through the Pichardo factory. I think like to me and with the broadleaf, I was like, I don't know how this is going to be, but when I smoked it, I was like, oh shit, it was different, which is what I liked. It categorically in like I can separate it from anything else and doesn't really have necessarily any parallels with other things I've smoked. It kind of stands out on its own. I was like, oh shit, the flavors in the cigar are wild and really, really good. I really like that. And the Fiat Lux too is awesome. I just smoked both of them last week, so they're fresh on my mind. But yeah, those are two really, really great cigars.
Great releases, man. Great, both of them great releases, which shook me a little. I'm like, okay, yeah, watch out for Pichardo, man. Watch out for this factory because
they're definitely gaining a high amount of popularity. And I think part of it with like the Ace Prime distributorship with Crown Heads has certainly helped traject them and launch them beyond probably what they'd be able to do on their own. It seems like a very, very healthy partnership that everyone's getting benefit from. And of course, I think, with this year, we talked to John and I know he's got a lot lined up for 2022 as he does every year, but I just assume a lot of that, like it was last year, is going to come from the Pichardo factory. So I'm really, really interested to see what comes to market this year.
And the Pichardo namesake line is amazing too. Especially there's one, I don't know if you guys have come across it yet or not, but I was smoking them a long time ago, the Dreamer, man. And
yeah,
the Dreamer.
Yeah.
Dude, this is such a great cigar. And a few times I've been in stores and seen it on super discount. And I'm like, there's a huge disconnect of education, right? Like as a tobacconist, if you own a humidor, if you own a smoke shop, whatever, and you call yourself a tobacconist, you should be educating your consumer. You like Byron? Okay. You don't want to pay Byron? Yo, let me show you Bandolero. Let me show you this other brand that comes out of the same factory that has very similar flavor profiles. It's treated just as well, but it's $12. Right. And so let me find a solution for you because those Dreamers, man, are freaking, they're fire, man. And at the show, I tried a couple new sizes of it and they're really good.
So I was wondering about that because they came out with the Robusto, the Perfecto, and I think there's a Toro in addition to the original Lancero. And I was like, I wonder how, because I really like the Dreamer. And here's the thing, like Lancero is just like always just kind of a squirrely Vitola for me. But that cigar is absolutely incredible. And then I go, I don't know what's going to happen with the cigar in the differences and variations of three new Vitolas. Like, what is it going to do to it? It's like, it's either going to be a better expression of what you could particularly already get or just different, which could be good or bad. I don't know. I'm glad your feedback is like, oh shit. Yeah. Like, additions to that, to the Dreamer line are positive.
They're just different and positive,
which is cool.
I mean, the Torpedo, awesome. First of all, I saw it. I'm like, what the fuck is that? What the hell is that right there? And he's like, oh, you want to smoke it? I'm like, duh, you know what I mean? Threw away whatever I was smoking. And I'm like, okay, you did it. I mean, it's not the same cigar, right? But it's there. It's at that level. Yeah. So, dude, I could sit here and talk about cigars all day long. I'm a cigar nerd, through and through. I love it. It's what we do.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I'm going to leave you this one last question, Chris. what are you most excited for in 2022? We're in the beginning of the year. It's got to be some good stuff on the horizon, either for you guys or just in the industry in general.
I'm really excited. I'm privy to some projects that are not ours, but that are more global, that show some cooperation between larger brands, some political cooperation between brands and lobbying bodies and things like that. So I'm really, really excited for those things, because I think as an industry, we have to stick together. The retailers, the online retailers, the clubs, the communities, they all have to be on the same page, because without us presenting ourselves as a united front and consistently, you can't battle the FDA. You can't battle public perception of what smoking a cigar is. We already have enough fights out there, so we don't need to fight ourselves. You know what I mean? We need to all sit down, kumbaya up, and smoke some good cigars. There's plenty of money out there for everybody. There's plenty of market out there for everybody. So it needs to be about cooperation. For us, we have, I'm probably not supposed to say it, but you guys will be the first to hear it.
Hell yeah. Exclusive.
We have a new size of a release that we did last year coming out. So we released the end of last year. It's called Choshi, which means firstborn in Japanese. It's rolled by AJ Fernandez also, but it's blended in part by AJ Fernandez and by Artesano del Tobacco, the guys that are responsible for Viva La Vida.
Yeah.
And we sold out of that like in a month. It's $12.50 a stick. It's super affordable. It's a daily driver cigar, but it is just so good. I probably smoked 6-7 boxes of it already.
Oh yeah.
And so we have a new size in that. And I think that's one of the things I'm most excited for, is just to see that line grow a little bit, so we have a little more availability for people to smoke it. I'm sure there's something else there that will excite me more eventually, but I don't know what it is yet. We don't plan that far ahead.
Yeah, no. It'll be one of those things where we'll see like an Instagram post and be like, Chris just thought of this.
Yeah.
This has been in the works for 4 minutes. That's it.
At Hot Ticket. I'm excited about this now. Now this, I mean, like, it's all exciting, dude.
Yeah,
all of
it
it's
is
freaking exciting.
Yeah, I admire the strategy of just like remaining flexible around stuff, and like there's kind of like a vibe aspect to it. It's like, I'm gonna go with the flow, and like I'm gonna feel some things out, and then some things may hit and some things may not. But like, the projects that you're gonna want to work on and that you're gonna want to invest in. You don't have to like create a 5-year plan to figure out what you want to do. It's like, if this thing feels right, I want to do it, and I think that's awesome.
We don't want to impose our will on the market. You know what I mean? Like, in the long run, the customers decide what works and what doesn't work, and we listen. You know what I mean? I can tell very easily if it doesn't work because we don't sell any. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's throw that away. Let's go somewhere else. We liked it. I had fun building it. That's all that matters, man. We're still here. Let's find out something. And then you find something like Johnny Tobacconaut or Choshi that the market just consumes. And you're like, yo, home run. Let's do it. We got it. Now, okay, we have a little bit of a path to follow down those. We put some planning into those things. But honestly, man, like, I came from corporate finance, and everything I did was on a deadline, on a plan, on structure. There was a form for everything. And I never want to go back to that.
Yeah. Ever. That sounds terrible.
Dude,
you're literally doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I don't blame you at all. That would scare me away too. I hear finance. I'm like, oh, I review for work dumb legal documents most of my time. And I'm like, if there's anything I could get away from, it's ever reviewing a legal document ever again in my life.
Dude, tell me about it.
It's the worst. Well, Chris, this has been an absolute freaking pleasure.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed talking to you. This has been great. We haven't done an interview, I think, and I don't even want to call them interviews. I think interviews is just kind of like a stuffy way of saying like, hey, let's just have a cool conversation with someone. We haven't done one in a while. This is probably one of my favorites we've had in a long time. So I greatly appreciate your time, man. This has been awesome. Thank you for the insight around the programs too, and for all the consumers that, we've got a good audience. Anybody who, I'm sure there's plenty of them who know who you are. And if you don't, hopefully you've learned something and you understand what's available to you. And, sorry for anybody who, hopefully we don't, I guess it would be a good thing. Take your list of 3,000 and maybe make it like 3,500. Sorry, folks.
Listen, there's open tiers right now. There's something out there for everyone, but we have a really large catalog online also that you can just buy direct from us. We ship internationally. We ship all over the place. And all I can say more than anything is we just want you guys to enjoy your experience with us, no matter what it is. So if there's a problem, reach out. You know, you hit us on Instagram, you're talking to me. There's no customer service,
right?
Press 9 to do this, or press, you know, you call us. One of our customer service girls in Phoenix answers, or it might even be Ben, my business partner and the other owner here. You know, this is what we do because we like to do it, and we want to deliver the best experience we possibly can every single time, and so that's what we try our hardest to do. So awesome. You know, reach out if you have questions.
Oh yeah, great and admirable, and thanks again, my friend. Take care. Have your rest of the day is you still have a little bit more hours. We don't have as much. I feel like I can already hear the ice hitting my roof. So this is going to suck. This is going to be slippery. So I'm going to go put some salt down. Chris, absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And hopefully we talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right. See you, man.
See you. All right. Thank you.
Bye.